In this lesson, you'll identify your location on the path to awakening. Although scientific research has helped us get an idea of what each stage is like, it's important to remember that everyone will be a bit different. Each of us has different experiences in each stage. And even though we tend to be in one main stage at a time, most of us have parts of ourselves in earlier stages, while other parts are in later stages. This can result in very different experiences as we navigate the path to awakening. Okay, let's now explore each stage and the perspective that we gain at each stage. What stage are you in? To get an idea of which stage you're in and which parts of you are in earlier or later stages, reflect on the following descriptions. Once you've reviewed all the stages, see if you can figure out which parts of you are in which stages. For a balanced awakening, we want all of our parts to be at about the same stage. In red stage, we're most focused on the physical self. That is, we're self-focused or body-focused. In orange stage, we're most focused on the social self. That is, we're peer group focused or focused on our family, social group, religion, political group, etc. In yellow stage, we're focused on the doer or the agentic self. That is, we're action-focused or skill-focused. In green stage, we're focused on the achiever self, or we're achievement or outcome-focused. In teal stage, we're focused on the mental self. That is, we are thought-focused or perspective-focused. In blue stage, we're focused on the contextual self, or we're pattern-focused or strategy-focused. In indigo stage, we're focused on the conceptual self, or we're concept or ego-focused. In violet stage, we're focused on unity, or we're oneness or consciousness-focused. And in white stage, we're focused on non-duality. Identify your center point. Take a moment now to reflect on which of these stages resonated most strongly with you. This stage is likely your center point. Because we are all continually moving along the path towards awakening, your stage location is continually changing and evolving. So regular reevaluation of where you are can be helpful. It's also important to remember that there are different parts of us in different stages. Although you can have peak experiences and glimpses of awakening when parts of you reach the awakening stage or indigo stage, bringing the other parts of yourself with you is key to having a balanced awakening, reaching liberation or violet stage, and moving into non-duality or white stage. Noticing perspective shifts. As we move forward, we retain the perspectives that we developed at the earlier stages. So, for example, we may still use our blue stage perspective when interacting with coworkers, even though our center point is at indigo stage. This ability to switch in and out of perspectives makes it difficult to know exactly where we are on the path. It's also important to note that in stressful situations, we tend to revert to the behavior of earlier stages. For example, Have you ever noticed that when you're in an argument with someone, they act in more self-centered or childish ways? Even if most of our lives are seen through the perspective of a later stage, we can easily revert to an earlier stage perspective when we're feeling stressed or threatened. What stage are most people at? Western society currently supports progress to green stage. Green stage focuses on many of the things that society values. For example, financial success, productivity, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, etc. Because society wants us to get to green stage, it's relatively easy, assuming we didn't have too many challenges in childhood, for us to get to green stage. The majority of adult Americans are currently in the conventional stages. That is, they are in yellow or green stage. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being in the conventional stages, or any stage for that matter. These stages, like all stages, offer unique and rewarding experiences. However, if you want to move on to the later stages, you can do that. Post-conventional stages, or the teal and blue stages. When we enter the post-conventional stages of development, teal and blue, we develop a fourth-person perspective. Only 16% of adults are in the post-conventional stages. Prior to reaching these stages, we see ourselves as our outcomes. In other words, we mainly define ourselves by our achievements or the things that we are able to create. For example, our degrees, our career, a nice home, a fancy car, a good relationship, a good paycheck, or we define ourselves by the lack of these outcomes. Before the transition into post-conventional stages, much of our life is focused on creating the best possible outcomes for ourselves. Given Western society believes that the conventional stages are the best ones, and that they are the end of the journey, the majority of people remain in conventional stages. It's easy to understand why. Society rewards us for conventional behavior, and it can feel really good to be successful in the eyes of others. For these reasons, moving beyond conventional stages often requires some sort of shakeup. Something like burnout, stress-based illness, or the realization that the outcomes we most desire don't actually make us happy. When we begin to transition into post-conventional stages, we see that permanent well-being cannot be found in any of our achievements. This realization leads us to then begin looking for happiness elsewhere. In other words, we broaden our perspective and open ourselves to new possibilities. Over time, sometimes many years, this broadening of perspective enables us to see things like social conditioning, social systems, and internal patterns, stories, and beliefs. To successfully maintain well-being during the post-conventional stages often requires that we have well-developed skills from the earlier stages. These might include maintaining a routine of physical self-care, having positive, supportive relationships, feeling empowered to take actions that improve our lives, and having stable emotions and a basic sense that we can control our outcomes. To successfully move beyond post-conventional stages often requires that we acknowledge, experience, and express everything that we have hidden from ourselves. This might include understanding how we came to be who we are, identifying our beliefs, stories, habits, and patterns, understanding the familial, social, societal, and global systems that influence us, experiencing our old trapped emotions, acknowledging our shadow parts, and processing old trauma. Moving beyond post-conventional stages usually requires us to be willing to look honestly at our belief structures, our patterns, the stories we hold on to, and anything else that we are hiding from ourselves. If you have not yet begun to do this type of psychological work, I recommend first working with an internal family systems therapist or trauma therapist. Once you've acknowledged your most significant traumas, you can more easily do the work that's required in this stage. The awakening stage. Research shows that 1.5% of adults are in indigo stage. As we move into this stage, we develop a fifth-person perspective. Here, we begin to question everything about ourselves and our reality. Using our new fifth-person perspective, we now question and observe the very concepts that make up our reality. As we continue to explore concepts in the awakening stage, we eventually come upon the concept of self. We see that self, like all other concepts, is socially constructed. As we lose our belief in the concept of self, we slowly start to become non-attached to it. The Transcendent Stages. Violet stage. Theories define well-being as satisfaction with life, or eudaimonia. When we enter indigo stage and begin to awaken, we get a solid glimpse of what this well-being actually looks like. Until we reach violet stage, however, we experience well-being only intermittently, and often with high amounts of suffering. However, in violet stage, suffering abates and well-being becomes more stable. As we move into violet stage, we develop a sixth-person perspective. Research shows that 0.5% of adults are in violet stage. Stable well-being can be found at violet stage because well-being no longer arises from experiences, but rather from the perspective with which we see all of our experiences. In other words, our violet stage perspective accepts things as they are. This enables our well-being to persist even when the circumstances of our lives are turbulent. This makes well-being a more sustainable feature of our lived experience. Thus, violet stage is the enduring well-being we seek. White stage. Although we experience unshakable well-being and contentment in violet stage, we have the potential to further merge into blended reality or non-dual awareness in the next stage. I have only experienced glimpses of non-dual awareness, so I can't provide more information on this stage at this time. Progressing through the stages. Without support, and under the best circumstances, we might move through one stage every 7 years or so. Unfortunately, due to a lack of support and guidance, most people stop progressing once they reach the conventional stages, or yellow and green stage. Still others reach more advanced stages and then turn backward. However, research suggests that with an effective training program, we all have the potential to advance one stage every 1 to 3 years. Effective training programs tend to teach people skills that are a stage or two ahead of their current stage. They also provoke disequilibrating experiences and use reflective inquiry as a tool for growth. Speed and well-being. Although we may want to move quickly towards awakening, it's important to note that the faster we move, the more parts of ourselves we may leave behind. And if we try to enter into awakening stage without doing the preparatory work, we are likely to face additional challenges. Plus, it's important to know that many of the exercises that help you progress are difficult. So, go at your own pace and seek out support from friends, family, coaches, or therapists when you need it. If you're progressing towards awakening and you find yourself becoming distressed, please stop. Take a break, practice self-care, and then come back when you're ready. You don't need to rush. In fact, it's best if you go at whatever pace feels right to you. Getting stuck. On the flip side, if we want to progress but find ourselves getting stuck, it's usually because there is something we're not acknowledging. Often, this has to do with an aspect of our self-concept that has become especially sticky. Sometimes stuckness can manifest as an intractable problem. Other times, it can manifest as a lack of motivation. Both of these experiences are just fine. They will resolve themselves once the pressure increases to a point where the situation can no longer hold. As soon as we acknowledge whatever we've been avoiding, a dam will break open and we'll continue on our path.